Come on. Can you hear me? Yes, we got me. Okay. Jeez. Yeah. That's how it goes, when we're going live. Can you hear me now? No? Is it better? Okay. I'm making sure that Instagram can hear me. Instagram, can you hear me? No? Is it better? Okay, cool. Fucking hell. This is what's fun about being live, you know what I mean? Is just like shit, anything can happen. So appreciate you all being there. Wow, 165 over on Instagram. Hey guys. Hey everybody. 15 on Tick. What's going on? Appreciate you all being over here. It's a little low. Let me see if I can crank it up. Yeah, that's better? Okay. I'm gonna move my mic closer to me. Okay. Jeez. Let's stop with these freaking mess of a intro and just jump into it. So yeah, right now I'm live on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Yeah, it's been a rough few days for me. I was sick half the day and then over the weekend as well. But I'm back. Yeah, I'm on TikTok. I actually started on TikTok back in 2020. And actually I was on Instagram first. Couldn't get anywhere with it. And then started cranking over on TikTok. Really, really blew up. And then, circled back. And now I'm like really big on Insta. And honestly, like it's going like consistently, even though I have more followers on TikTok, consistently get more views on Instagram, which is interesting. So I don't know if people are more tuned in or what, but Pikachu's over here hanging with me on the TikTok side. So anybody else want to chat? What's up? My TikTok ID is Rad Nolan. It just doesn't have the underscore like I do on Instagram. Somebody fucking snaked it. Somebody snaked it on Instagram, and now it's underscore Rad Nolan because of that. What an idiot. It's on me. It's on me 100%. But I'm streaming through Streamlabs. Well, actually, no. I have two streams happening at the same exact time. So I'm using Streamlabs to stream to Instagram and YouTube, and then I'm also using Live Studio on TikTok. If you leave and you want to check out any of the stuff that I get into after this, you can always go check out my YouTube channel where there's replays over there. Wanted to ask a question about product. Is product design a good course to study? It's hard to say, right? Everybody's different. Is it now the right time to jump into design? It's everybody's game. But here's the thing. I've been binging the YouTube new wave. I don't know if you're into this. Holy shit. It's just so entertaining, so amazing to see these young people jump into YouTube and say, fuck the algorithm. I'm just going to make like amazing stuff. I'm going to be super patient with my cinematography. And in that, I'm also going to, be passionate about the stuff that I'm doing. And for me, it is so hard as a creator to consistently show up and do a great job and be passionate about the things that we're doing. And it's just so cool to see these young guns over on the YouTube new wave. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I've been binging like crazy. Life of Riza, Natalie Lynn, and Ryan Ing. And anyways, what I want to say, the reason why I brought this up, there's a connection to this, is look, if you are passionate and if you are patient, like it's funny. It's like it's cranking on the YouTube algorithm, but it's also just like a philosophy that we should all approach everything that we do. Is if you are passionate and you are patient, you will be successful in whatever you do, right? Especially a skill based like work, right? Skill based work is UI UX design, product design. You have to have skills. Those skills cannot just come from reading books. They come from grinding, right? And the only way to continue grinding, even when it sucks and even when it hurts, is when you're passionate about it. And so, it's this thing I'm going to keep talking about more and more. Be passionate and be patient, right? And you'll get there. The truth is you can look from the outside at UI UX design. You can look from the outside and say, this is a really interesting field. I'd love to get into it, for the lifestyle and all that stuff. But you're not going to get in unless you work hard for a while and not get, get banged around a bit. It's funny, I was actually last week I was chatting with a few designers locally, and and yeah, like I actually went golfing with them, and they both took a while to get into the industry, just like me. I took 4 years before I actually like had my first job, right? And so it was like 4 or 5 years for one, and I actually didn't ask the other one, but they said it was also a long time. So it's just this is how it goes, right? Is like the passion gets you through that tough point, and then once you're there, you just keep building, and it's fun. It's fun. Is it necessary that UI UX designers do illustration? No, I'd say it's definitely not necessary. It's nice to have, right? Because graphic design can build your visual eye in a very big way. But however, you do not need to be good at illustration to get into it. How do I use AI with my UI UX work? At the moment, I don't use too much AI. I do use I use Wizard a bit recently. I did a collab with them, but I was also just playing around with it a lot before then. And there was a moment where I had this idea for like this Tinder card swipe experience, and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna go get Wizard to generate this thing for me. And when it was in there, like when I did it. It actually came up with like some different layouts that were really interesting, like I hadn't even considered. And so I think more and more of these tools are going to get a lot better as they go. I think right now it's like not many of them are like really able to say, plug in for a designer. I think they're really good for product managers who can't like necessarily design, but I do think AI is coming. I do think that it's going to be a while before it takes over. And yeah, Doogie, here's the thing: 4 years for me as a job, maybe I was doing it wrong, right? Like I think I made a lot of decisions that could have been easier for me, right? For one, I went and built an app, and like that was like my that's how I look at like my master's degree or like any related degree was I just like banged like hell trying to get this product launched, and then we did, and then we marketed and got like over 20,000 users, and I learned so fucking much about all the things you're not supposed to do, and we failed, right? But in that failure, I just like learned so much, and so I think because of that, I got like really good in design, and I wouldn't have if I didn't like spend that time grinding. And so honestly, I love those 4 years. I love those 4 years. It was hard, but can I remove the graphic? I tried to shrink the graphic down today because I was getting some hate on it the other day. I gotta leave it up because these things are really tight. This this bento box that I've got, it's really hard to manage. Look, let me show you. Look at that. It's like basically just this overlay of a bunch of stuff. So I can't really just like drop it. But hey, I promise next time I'll tone it down even more. Yeah. It's just here's the thing. It shouldn't be unmotivating though. It should be like validating that, hey, this is hard, right? This is hard to break in because you will make a lot of money in this, right? You will make a lot of friends in this. You'll learn so much, and all of that, right, is valuable, right? For me, I've recently been kind of like changing my ethos around this idea of zoom out, right? Like when you're like trying to transition, when you're young, you feel like everything is like it needs to build on this, right? Like if I don't get this by this, then I can't get to this and this and this, and it's so stressful and overwhelming. But for me, like and for like 10 years, I lived on that cliff, right? Recently I've kind of been like, okay. With every initiative that I'm doing, I'm like, how can I say, hey, this is going to take 5 years, right? Like, like put that in your mind. Like, within the next 5 years, I will make more money than I've ever hoped for. And I did that through my creative problem solving abilities, right? Like, but it's going to take 5 years, right? Like that's so much easier to manage and to go through that grind. And hopefully it takes 2 years. Hopefully it takes one, right? But I do think that's like a really big thing is like, when you put a line up and say, hey, I'm gonna take this boot camp and in 6 months I got a job, like fuck, that is so demotivating when it doesn't happen, right? And the truth is the market is tight, but it's always been tight. It's always been hard as hell to break into this because every product team has one designer for a while, right? And then when they're larger teams, you need to deliver like for a while, right? And so like there is so many like layers of I need to plug you in and get some value out of you. And I know that like sounds super like capitalism, like lame shit, but it's the truth is that, look, I want to give every like early stage designer a start. But I also need to like get them in there in a spot where I can like get something back because I'm investing time, energy, and money towards that. And so I think that's like the same thing for every position that's available. Is like definitely there's some mentorship involved, definitely there's some like coaching up involved, but I think a lot of it too is just like hustle, and be ready to jump in, right? Yeah. How do I land your first? Oh, like shit, guys. I'm trying to stick to this to 45 minutes, and I've been going. So I'm gonna, or sorry, an hour, and I've already jumped. Like I've already chatted for like 15 minutes. So let's jump into the real juice. I want to do a little mini tutorial today around a mini design system. So I've been getting some comments because I've been doing a lot of variables videos lately. Specifically around the time lapse, or sorry, the text based variables stuff. So that's one thing that and so because of that I've been getting some questions about like what does a design system look like and how to get into it and all that. And so I want to do a little mini design system today. It's like going to be very, very small. But yeah, if you want to come join me, this is the file. You see Rebecca's hanging out in here. What's up, Rebecca? Hope you're having a good day. I wish we had custom cursors, Figma. I wish you'd brought them back. It'll just be all in our memories. But anyways, yeah, come join this link if you happen to be on a computer and check it out. Yo, what's happening, Mr. Nutella? Hope you're doing good. Yeah. When's the app back? TaskTree is going to be coming up really soon. Basically looking for beta early next month. Like, like in the next few weeks, we should be in beta on TaskTree. I'm going to be talking a lot more about that over the next few days and weeks. And anyways, let's get into the mini design system tutorial. So here we go. Delete page. Okay. Cool. This is our design system. And by the way, if you're coming in that file, you can always come find me with that spotlight. All right. So we've got a design system. Now, what we need to do, basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a few primitives. I'll explain what those are in a second. Those primitives are going to be, aliased to a semantic token. And then we'll go use that semantic token, assign that token to some designs. All right, so let's get into it. Make sense? Now, probably tomorrow I'll do a deep dive on atomic design. Honestly, I probably should start at atomic design because like all of this shit is like doesn't matter unless you're designing in an atomic design fashion. But all that to say, let's just do these steps, right? We're gonna create some primitives. We're gonna create semantic tokens that are basically like reference those, and then we're gonna assign those tokens to designs. So let's just put that up there, right there. Okay. So first off, let's pull up our variables. So we've got variables here. I'm going to create a new collection. We'll call those premies. Okay, so let's just do like colors. I think like let's do colors and padding of a button, right? Let's just make a button. Okay, let's go. All right, so we'll do let's just do like primary 100, right? Let's just say our primary is like this red, right? Now we go primary 200, and essentially what these is like kind of different shades of these. Now I'm fucking winging this, all right? So don't judge where we're at here, right? But here we go. So you could see there's just like kind of scaling up on all these variables, and let's just bring this to 500, okay? P500. Link of the live one more time. Yeah, sorry. By the way, you can come hang in this file with me if you come over to bit.ly/rad-live-hangs. All right. Hope you come over and hang out. Okay. So yeah, going back to the variables, you can't see these variables even if you're in the file, but yeah, it's there. Okay. So we now have these variable primitives set up, right? So let's say that we've got this button, right? Button. We're going to wrap that in an auto layout. We're going to put like just some padding on it. And then the fill, I'm going to assign that fill to one of these premies. Premies, not premies. Shit. sorry. Sorry. Yeah. To the premies, not premies. Sorry. Okay, so I could switch this P100 to P200 to P300, 400, 500, right? Now, the trouble is though, there's a few things. Now, one thing is we don't like to have this idea of basically like, wait, which shade should I use? On buttons, we use P500. We don't use P300. Like, say that you have like 20 different shades of 5 colors, right? It's going to be a lot of difficulty for you to be able to, remember on the fly what, button shades we use or whatever. And so because of that, like often there'll be double set of the same language, right? So you could say, primary 100, or we could do, we could change all these. Instead of primary, it's, let's say like, button 100, right? But that would kind of suck, right? We don't want button 100, button 200, because like we're going to go make semantic tokens that assign to these, right? And all of this allows us to be able to plug in. This is the idea of design systems, really, is to be able to, kind of like have all these module pieces that you can plug in when you need. And then that way, if something changes down the line, you can just disconnect one of those things and it doesn't fuck everything else up, right? You should probably do a whole new collection on this. But for now, I'm just gonna like keep it inside of this. What I'll do is I'll group these together by selecting those and then new group with selection. We'll call that group the premies. Sorry, I'm coughing a little bit today. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a semantic token. Now, semantic token, what does that mean? Well, semantics, let's use our deduction skills, and we're going to say, hey, we're using a button. We're trying to decide what, shade to use for our buttons. And we don't want to just remember to use P300, right? We want to, be able to assign like button color and then, have that forever. And so how we're going to do that is we're going to create an alias. So on this color, we're going to right click, we're going to create alias. Yeah, there you go. Create alias, and we're going to assign that to the P300. So now we are automatically going to be able to switch this name to, something like button primary, right? And so we'll flip that over. We'll go over to button primary. I'm gonna go ahead and make a new group out of that. Drag that new group up here. We'll call this group semantics. There we go. We're gonna ungroup all shit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there we go. So we're on primitives. We've got the semantics. We've got the primitives themselves, right? So now we are assigning those, or sorry, we're associating those through this this alias right here, right? Creating that alias. And so what that's going to allow us to do is over here on our fill, and I fucked up the groups because I'm moving fast here. But over here on the fill, we've got all these different colors, right? And so instead of like going through and deciding, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is the one, right? P300. No, we're just going to look for the semantic tokens. We're going to find button primary. We could even search for button primary at that point, right? And then we've got it now. So cool. That makes sense. Now let's go do that again with some spacing stuff, right? So I'm going to go ahead and come in here. I'm going to hold on. I'm going to make it where it's not like changing any of the stuff. There you go. Now our padding is sorted. So we've got a 32 here. I'll move this layers panel over. Actually, sorry. Hold on. Okay. Layers are visible now. Perfect. Okay. Okay. So we've got our button here, and we've got our layers. We've got this set to 32 pixels of horizontal padding, and 24. Was it? Yeah, it was 24, right? Yeah, 24 feels all right. 24 pixels of vertical padding. So we can actually turn those into semantic variables as well. So we'll go in and I'm going to pull this up again. Jeez, what is happening? Oh no. Okay, there you go. Sorry. Figma bug. Okay. Right now, I'm currently using Figma, and Figma has this whole variable system which allows you to create all these variables and then like associate them and like reference them and all that. And so that's really where the juice of variables is. And yeah, so yeah, that's kind of the tutorial that we're running through. So right now we created some primitives, made some semantic tokens, and we're assigning those tokens to designs. And let's get into it. So now we're going to do the same thing with a number variable, and we're going to call these paddings. Maybe we'll go button, or no, maybe not button. Maybe we'll go with maybe we'll just call these as like based on the number in the grid, or we could probably step it though. 1 step, 2 step. Let's say that we were using a 4-pixel grid. Boom. And we'll take this up to, I don't know, what should we take it up to? Because we got to go up to 24 or 32, right? So yeah, we'll go all the way up to 34. 24, 7, 30. Oh wait, 28. Sorry, can't do math today. 32. Okay. All right. So we've got all of these guys. We're going to group them together, and we're gonna call those padding. Yo, Blinko, thanks so much for the heart. Appreciate you. I'm gonna give you a heart back. There's a heart for you. You know what I mean? What is happening with the groups? Like, oh, you know what, dude? There you go. Jeez. Okay, thank you. Jeez, there was like groups within groups. Yeah, all this is recorded. I'm currently streaming over on YouTube as well, and so you can get in there and see replays of all this over my YouTube. So yeah. By the way, I just hit 3,000 subscribers over there. That's pretty cool. Let's get that to like 500,000, right? Yo, Pikachu sending a butterfly. Thank you so much. Appreciate all the gifts, y'all. Much love to you. Okay, so we got our paddings. Again, like there's different naming conventions. I'm just winging these naming conventions right now. But yeah, so now we're gonna go into the semantics again. We're gonna say let's do a horizontal. Let's do horizontal. Medium. Right. And so what's cool is with the numbers, there's this little button here that we can angle onto. Jeez. So yeah. So now I'm gonna put that on a 6. Let's see if we've got the horizontal medium. Let's just do padding medium, or padding small, padding medium, and then padding large, right? Again, these names suck. I know that they suck. Don't worry, okay? Don't worry. So look, so we've now assigned those. So I can't let myself go. Gotta be a perfectionist on this. We'll see if we can get 2 portfolio reviews today. It's going to be an interesting one. All right. So now I'm going to go assign these. And instead of going and finding, 3, we use horizontal on the smalls. We use 12. So I'll find that 3, 12. No, we're just going to go ahead and put it inside the semantics of padding. We're going to go with padding large for the wide. And then we're going to go with padding small for that one. Maybe we'll go medium. Boom. Look at that. So look at that. And so now what's really cool is, from our premies, from our premies, we can update this, right? So as I go upwards with it, it's going to be automatically updating that. Even though that's just an association to it, it's still going to be connected perfectly all the way throughout our system. And so that is kind of like the foundation of like how design systems work as it relates to variables inside of Figma. So I figured that would be a good tutorial for us to walk through today. Hope you got some good juice out of that. I think that I'm going to be doing a lot more of these design systems chats because for me, I think design systems are very important, but it's really hard to teach newcomers design systems, because like you got to learn so much more before you get into design systems, like to be able to make it work. What's my YouTube channel? Should be the same name, Rad Nolan. I don't think there's an underscore on the YouTube side. But yo, hey, Lack, LECCC, thanks so much for giving me a follow on TikTok. If you're not following me already, would love to follow. You know, what's cool is actually I'm just about to hit 6 months of being a full-time creator. And man, I've been doing so much. It's kind of funny, like, you know, you're so focused on like the details every day, boom, 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 and then like one day you look back and you're like, holy shit, like I've done all these things. This is awesome. So that's what I was talking about earlier, is being passionate and being patient, right? You know, the passion will help you get through it. The patience will make it so that you can, you know, get to that point where you're all wanting to be. So. Hey, thanks. What's up, Vietnam? How you doing from Vietnam? I'm in Florida, but today's been a great day. We've got 30 minutes on the clock today to go through. I'm trying to do 2 portfolio reviews today, and usually these portfolio reviews are about like 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes long per. But I'm going to start trying to time these a lot better throughout the day, throughout these live reviews. That way I can get through more of them. So today we are going to be covering Michael's portfolio, and we're also going to be covering Camila's portfolio. So buckle in, because both seem pretty solid. So I just did a quick little review, but outside of that, I don't really look at these too much, too in detail. Now, if you want a portfolio review of your own, head over to my bio link, and in there you will find these buttons. There's a few buttons. There's one here. And then there's also one here. Both of those take you to this Airtable form, where you'll basically just fill in the details, and you will have yourself you'll get in the queue basically. I've got a queue right now. I don't know exactly how many. There's about, I think, like 20 left currently in the queue. And also, if you ever miss these, you can always check it out over on my YouTube channel, where all these are recorded. So what's happening, Carrie? How you doing? Yo, missed you, Hippo Waffle. How you doing? Hope you're having a great day. This is going to be a great set of portfolio reviews. Oh, geez. You know what? I didn't turn over my my title cards on the stream. So I just had to. I'm going to get better at all these portfolio, or all these streams, y'all. But thanks so much for, you know, bearing with me. You know, live streaming is really fun, and so here we are. Hope you guys are ready to go through Michael's portfolio. So I'm going to kind of skim through these. I'm going to put 15 minutes on the timer, so that way we can try to keep this under an hour total, so that people can go rewatch it more confidently. But all right, hey there. I am excitedly seeking summer 2024 roles in UI UX design. That's a great intro. I like that. Love to build or optimize design systems and flex my problem solving skills magic. I like that. You know, I was writing earlier about a thing of like what you need to do in your portfolio, right? The biggest thing that you need to cover in your portfolio, you need to show that you have some skill, right? Some actual raw skill. So that needs to be apparent, right? And that means not wireframe shit. That means actually show me the final UI, and like let me see, like, you know, how good it is, how good is the spacing, how good is the color, all of that stuff. So that's one. That's kind of like the first step. Second step is being able to show that you have a process. Now that process should be different every project, right? It should not be the same loop every time, right? And also to, like, this is the biggest thing, the biggest thing. And I'm going to be getting into all these on the case studies. We'll see how that works out. But every case study needs to have, if you are sharing strategy with me, that strategy better be felt at the end, right? Or otherwise it's pointless. And it shows that your process is not actually working for the work that you're doing. So I'm not saying Michael's done any of that. Sorry, I just want to back up and say I don't know if Michael's doing that or not, but I do just want to call that out. That's like kind of what I'm going to be looking for and you know, thinking about while we're going through all this stuff. Yo, Tauzuna, thanks so much for saying I'm amazing, and also sending me the finger hearts. Appreciate you. Yeah. All right. So he is in Waterloo, Ontario. That's cool to know the time zone and all that stuff. Not necessary, but it's nice. I think overall your hero up top, solid. I'd give that a 9 out of 10. Would be nice to get like a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know. 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. We'll give that 9 out of 10 hero. Senior secure for TD Ameritrade. Okay, prevents elderly target Targeted fraud. Okay, very cool, very cool. Protecting vulnerable TD clients in the mobile banking area. That's dope. That's cool. That's cool. I like that it's for like a, you know, a like not something that somebody would just pick off the street, right? It's something that like, you know, even if it's a fake project, it's interesting. It's an interesting project to me because it's not just like an e-commerce platform, right? Or you know, an influencer marketing like management page, right? Like it's like not an obvious thing. It's like kind of a boring side of banks. You know what I mean? Very cool though. I like it. I like it. So you know what's also cool too is because it's so boring, it also feels real. Right? So I'm just gonna assume that that was like an internship or something like that. So very cool. Love it. Love it. Checkmate organizes learning and vocabulary, aiming to protect our curious learners from false information. Interesting that like, you know, protecting information in general on both of these is apparent. So that's an interesting angle. Yeah, wow. Okay, love that. Also, too, we've got two case studies, and then it looks like we've got just a general roundup. I think that's solid. So, yo, Michael, you're on the track, bud. I would say these two, you know, both are enticing projects for me to jump into. I love to see the exploring the gallery. Let's see what that does. Okay. Cool. Oh, and it just takes me out to sites that you built. Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay. I would say so far on this work section and your skills roundup section, I think that we're at a 9.5 out of 10 so far with these, plus a 9 out of 10 on the hero. Yo, Michael, looking really good, bud. Looking really good. Let's jump into it. So now, look, when I am reviewing portfolios as a hiring manager, I'm probably reviewing like hundreds of portfolios a day, right? And so when I'm coming in, you might be like portfolio 1, you might be portfolio 72, right? And so what my process is I look and see, okay, does this person seem relevant to my, you know, the role that I'm hiring for? And then from there, I'm jumping into a focus on one case study. Like I'll guarantee look at one case study. And so of the two, I'm definitely going to check out the TD one just because that feels like the real one of the two. If you know the other one, what is it? Checkmate. You know, maybe it's real, but it's not a brand I'm familiar with. Blah blah blah. And so because of that, I'm going to lean into this TD one. Okay, senior secure case study WFN second place pitch. Okay, cool. Interesting. 2 to 5 minute read. I like that. Let's see if it's actually a 2 to 5 minute read. It feels like a 5 to 10 minute read, but that's okay. Most of the ones that I've been reading lately have been like 30-minute reads, right? So I think that's fine. I like that. That's an interesting one. I've never seen that before. Yeah, I don't know if I would put that. I feel like it's nice though. I don't know. I don't know if I can put my stamp of recommendation on that. But yeah, an interesting one that kind of stands out to me. Maybe consider putting it in your own. Okay, TD Senior Secure was developed for a design sprint hosted by Western Founders Network in 2022. Prompt challenged our team to help Raymond, a retiree who's been exposed to increasingly notorious romance scams. Okay, interesting. Okay, see the stats. That's cool. So your role was all that. Timeline. Again, I don't think timeline's necessary, right? Now, it's nice that you were like upfront about like this being like an academic kind of based project. so that's cool. But I will say, yeah, you know, any time a timeline's involved is not necessary, especially for like a pitch competition, especially under 48 hours. Like, yo, like, it's cool that you got it all done in that time, but like, I don't know, it just, yeah. I guess that's cool. Under 48 hours. I don't know. Iffy. I'd say, in general, try to avoid timelines as much as you can. In a rush, watch our winning submission. Interesting. Okay. I'm going to mute this so you guys don't hear too much. Very cool. Okay, so y'all went through all of it. I could probably let me just play a few of this. Jeez.
Feeling desperate for connection. Raymond's journey map immediately highlights a downward trend in the pleasure of his experience from start to finish. The experience is a process of navigating an online relationship that, unbeknownst to him, has ulterior motives. Greatest week show the current layout of TD's mobile banking app, which has no
this is cool.
access to insufficient to keep track of. as they're constantly evolving and catch Vic own and adapting to the goal for
This is nice. I like that. I like that it's under 5 minutes, or 5:14. Like that's nice. I think this is really nice. I would say put this up top. Especially next to that 2 to 5 minute read. Like only have 5 minutes. Watch this. I would probably, if I was actually hiring, I would probably watch this whole thing and maybe even skip the whole thing. So like I think that's awesome that you've done that, Michael. I think too, in general, thinking about the experience of the hiring manager is so nice, and it feels like you've really thought about that a lot in this case study. So super nice. I like it a lot. Let me just go read all this stuff though, so that I can talk and not you, because I like to hear myself speak. So here we go. How might we reduce the risk of falling victim to fraud by helping TD users identify scams early through the incentivized learning while maintaining their personal privacy? Interesting. Maybe even push this up top. You know what I mean? Look, you don't need to be, you don't need to be scammy or hide that this is a fake project or whatever. I think that we can kind of feel that as we go, that it was a small enough thing. But maybe this is kind of the thing. This is the reason you did this project, and so I think because of that, it's got to be more of a punch, here I feel like all you've done up top is be hey, don't worry. It's I'm not trying to say this, say I did work for TD, don't worry, and look, you've got to do that. So, maybe put that just beneath, right? But interpreting the brief up top, it just helps me ground me to understand exactly what you did and or why you did this, right? Which is the reason we do every design. Every project starts with a problem or a thing that we need to tackle, right? And so the rest of the case study should be all around this, which hopefully it is, and it feels like it is. So in general, I would say, let's go back to the rating system. I would say the introduction section, I would say this is probably a 4.5 out of 10. Very concise, which is good. But I think moving this up would be great. Somehow having this video, maybe it's not a full width video, but maybe it's kind of over to the side. That maybe there's even a little tile here that's hey, in a rush, because I like this. In a rush, watch our winning submission. Hell yeah. That also, watch our winning submission helps ground me in that this is fake project, which is okay, right? And so maybe having it as a tile in the corner, and that pops open a light box that gives me this viewing experience, because the video is good. Let's put that up top, right? Put it above the fold, and also to watch our winning submission on the cover image on top of it would help me be understand and ground me in that fake project life. And so I think if you did that, we would be close to a 10 on the intro. And then you could always have this section beneath it, but I just think that the information needs to be swapped here. Autonomy gained from mobile banking exposes users to scams and frauds. With great power comes great vulnerability. That's interesting. And I'm pretty sure that this is just a responsive issue. Yeah, okay. No biggie. That's on me for viewing it inside of a tiny window while trying to share with the world here. Okay. All right. In April 2020 alone, had a 250% increase in signups. Okay, cool. Mobile app for fraud education. Love it. Yeah, nice little sum up. I think this is good. Got some good information architecture in here. I can read just a few and still understand the section, which is very important. So I'd say this section is a winner. Keep it. I like this little scroll thing up top. You guys can see that little green bar that's scrolling with me here. It's nice. Yeah, cool. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool the elderly, shame on you. Love it. Yeah, I like a good copy. Involved. That's nice. Romance scans are okay. You know what would be nice though is if you can start visualizing these in a little bit of a different way. This kind of bleeds into this a little bit. So maybe putting this in a card next to a few other stats. I mean, maybe even have these stats up here, right? Because again, it's all around the foundation is why you're doing this. It would also allow you to a little bit lower the content that you need to write. Somebody's learning among vulnerability groups. Yeah. Okay. I mean, look, I'm trying to see if if I'm steering you in the wrong direction. You might not need to change any of this stuff up, but maybe putting these next to these would be nice, to just give me like some juice on the screens. It's nice that we're going back and forth here. And yeah, I mean, we don't have too much content, or app, like, visualizations, right? Because it's like kind of like a flow, which is okay, right? Like, it's a fake project, I get it, no worries. But you've got in here, some of these pain points. Are those represented down in the rest of it? Reliable, trustworthy information is hard to come by online. Let's see. No, and I mean, it's okay. Again, it's not a bad thing. It's just, this feels like properly designed in here. This feels properly designed in here as well. And so I think, like, what you've done here is a great job. And it feels like you did it for a reason. But then, like, you're not, like, it's funny. Usually I say that the reason isn't like, is too much, and it's not connected to the end. Right now I'm feeling like you didn't give me enough of that reasoning here, outside of here. Like, you kind of, had some bullet points around, like, romance scams are the riskiest. They're susceptible, blah, blah, blah. I get that. But then, like, am I getting that out of the designs? I don't know. And, like, maybe you are. Maybe, like, let's just look at the designs really quick. Overall, the designs are nice. Maybe nice. Cool. I mean, yeah, I like the layout. Incentivizing the learning is nice. Yeah, it's good. I think that this should be part of the incentivized learning, right? Like, all of that was just the gamification side and the rewarding center. But how do I get that? Like, I don't get that until I'm down here, right? So again, maybe you consider putting these screens together, like, as like a boom, 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 and then break them down individually down below. This was a person who I hired last year, and they kind of did that, right? They kind of, like, gave me the juice. They broke down the strategy behind the juice, and then they broke down, like, all the individual pieces of each of those screens, right? And they actually did a better job in another one too. And so I think that would be, like, one thing that I'm not feeling too much is, like, it feels like you thought about it. It feels like you've got strategy behind all this, but you're not showing it, like, that enough. You know what I mean? And that's the thing is, like, oh, timer's up. So I'll close out in, like, 1 minute. Basically, last thing I'll say on all this is, like, give me more of the juice before I have to scroll, and then find ways to just, like, lace this sort of stuff in so that as I'm scrolling, I see a visualization of, like, boom, boom. Oh, okay, cool. And then I keep scrolling, and then I go find the UI, right? And then there's a breakdown of the UI and how, like, this part of the UI helped with that. This part of the UI helped with that. You know what I mean? Like, I hope that makes sense, Michael. Overall, pretty solid work. It was definitely, like, 2 to 5 minutes. Like, it felt pretty quick of a read, which is a good thing. I think that one thing that I'll say, it looks like you've got, like, a website on that style stuff down here on your roundup of stats or of stuff, like in spec building group. Maybe just, like, show me some more, like, final stuff. And it's funny because I always talk about you can use fake stuff, but just, like, I think, like, one flow is nice, but a whole app that you thought through the whole thing would be really good too. So, you could still fake that, like, on you did a full project, but it just wasn't, like, a real thing. It was just, like, a spec project, but you, like, took a thing from start to finish, right? Because, like, once you start, like, building the whole app and all the setting screens and all, like, the onboarding and everything like that, you really get, like, so many things have to change as you go because the design decisions that you make start to add up slowly, and make it difficult for you to work with. And so you have to go back and, like, refine it and all that. And I think that's the only thing that I'm missing from this work that you've listed here. And maybe you got on this other one. Let me just do a quick read through. Yeah, it seems pretty similar. Okay, all that to say, overall portfolio, I would say probably a 7.5 out of 10. I think you're really solid. Just need a little bit more work, Michael, and you'll be really. I would be surprised if you get like some real projects or like some really full scoped fake spec projects, I would be surprised if you didn't land a job within like a few months of applying. So you're solid. You're on the way, bud. You're on the way. Keep it going. Find a way to get a little bit more fake work, and you'll be ready to go. Do you need to show wireframe within the portfolio or just skip to high fidelity? Up to you, Awa, over on TikTok. Definitely up to you. I think, I like, sometimes I like showing wireframes. Sometimes I like seeing them. I don't like seeing scribble wireframes. If you show me scribble wireframes, like show me two frames at the most. And then from then on, just do like mid fidelity wireframes. I think that's the step. And then jump into high fidelity. I think it's always good to just show that you did a thing. Now it's not hurting him. It's not hurting Michael that he didn't show me wireframes here, in my opinion. But maybe also too, he could go more in depth on like those specific modules and stuff like that, right? So, okay. Let's put 15 minutes on the clock when we go into, we're going to be going into, whose portfolio? Camila Costales. Let's do it. Okay. All right. Product designer. Wave. Nice. Don't need, it's a utilitarian hero section. Jumping right into the case study. That's nice. Looks like we got 3 case studies and a UI roundup. I love it. Okay. So here's the thing. I don't want to take credit for this. Maybe somebody else is doing this. Maybe you just found it on your own. But I've been feeling like more and more I'm seeing a few case studies and then some roundup stuff, and I love it. I've been preaching that for like a year now. So I'm just kudos to y'all for listening. If you did listen, otherwise don't listen to me. I'm sorry for taking credit. Bye. Bridging the gap between new users of the Family Tree app and their family history. Okay, interesting. Like it. Redesign the Mac Lab website. Yeah. I mean, I think both of these have grounded me in the type of work you did, and it shows me a nice shot. UI looks pretty good. Show me a nice shot. UI looks pretty good. So solid work, Camila, on this. Designing a doctor appointment app. Did you go do things because I said, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to take credit, but I've been talking about how important doctor appointment apps are to looking like you did some hard data entry type work. So yeah, I don't know. I feel kind of pegged right now. Like maybe you're just like the perfect portfolio, or you did it because you were listening to me. And if you did, either way, congratulations. I'm liking the stuff so far. I think maybe a little bit more oomph about you, Camila. Like here could be nice. Like I don't need to see a picture of your face, but just everybody's got those like what you're passionate about lines, or like the type of work you like to do kind of stuff, like, and you've got room here, you know what I mean? You even just like one little bit, or like maybe just like a scroll bar of like interests or something. I don't know. Again, overall it's pretty good. Like I'd say like the hero is probably like a 4 out of 10, but like also it gets so close to the juice on like the case studies right away that maybe it gets to a 6. I'll give it a 6. I'll give it a 6 out of 10 on the hero because of that. But you could get it to a 10 if you just give me a little bit more about you, right? I wrote down 3 things this morning. I'm like 3 things that you want to achieve on your portfolio is show that you've got some skills, right? Number 2, show that you have a process that if I gave you this thing, if I just threw you in the fire, would you be able to just like, would you just be like blah 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 running around, or would you be like, hey, okay, I'm gonna slow this down, I'm gonna do this and then this and then this, and like, is that good? Yes, okay, perfect. So that's number 2. Number 3 is be memorable somehow, right? I did an interview with somebody who I knew was very early, who I knew probably had only been designing for a few months, maybe 6 months to 8 months, but I took them to an interview stage because they showed some like raw talent and skill there, but also they were funny as hell. Like she was so funny. Like I kept being like thinking about her a few days later because I was like, yo, it was just like it's so goofy and like memorable because of that. And it like literally was to the point where I was like, man, like I think I could vibe with her if I brought her on. Like and it almost brought her, but then she was just still a little bit too early, and but either way, memorable. I'm not getting too much memorable out of this, and therefore it's a 6 out of 10 Give me a little bit more juice, Camila, and I'd give you a higher rating on the hero. Now overall, love the stuff. I'm probably gonna go to the doctor appointment app because I feel very pegged for it. And then yeah, UI work, augmented reality, interesting. Okay, very cool. Yeah, everybody redesigns Craigslist. I love it. All right, yeah. Do you actually have case studies for these little mini case? Hell yeah. Yo, very cool. I'm liking it. I would say some of these UIs are just a little bit low. Like you see, this shadow here is a little bit too stark, a little bit too intense. The gaps here are a little bit too big. Like maybe they're not too big because you've got this really rounded edges or corners on these. But what you need to do, if you have that much rounded corner and you want a little bit more spacing, I think you got the page itself has to have a little bit more spacing, and then the gap between this card slider and the weak calories need to have a little bit more spacing as well. And so because of that, the padding feels a little bit off. The UI, like it's almost there, right? Like I think you're like 10% away from having this be like a really nice look. Also, the color's a little wonky, like. It kind of feels really muted up here, and then there's like this really bright orange, which is definitely not accessible. I would say cut this one from your list on there. Let's see. Nice. I always like these like ones, even though I know you didn't make the illustration, it just shows like you can curate. So that's pretty nice. I like the color palette on that one too. So maybe that one's just like more recent than this one. So you don't need 6 UI like roundups, right? I would say for there, like it looks like you did try to like run the gambit on like use cases or industries, which is cool. But you really only need to show like 2 or 3. I think like if you've got more, that's great. Oh, wow, you even got like personas and all this on this one. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, and overall the UI looks okay on these. I'd say cut calorie track and find a way to cut 1 or 2 more. Okay, I'm gonna go into the real case studies. Designing a doctor appointment app, understanding the needs of doctors and their patients to create a good user experience. Now, yeah, okay, yeah. Okay. Understand. Okay, so same thing brings me out. I would say like there's some room to be able to have like a unique like an expansion on that idea from the home screen, right? Like not a big deal, but just it's kind of the same repetition of what happened on the homepage. Maybe there's like a show the next one. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, never mind then. Nice to see like final UI up top. That's always good because that's kind of the process that I do is I go down here, I look at all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this looks pretty good, and then I'll go back and read the strategy. So cool. Okay, we got 8 minutes left. 8 minutes on the clock. My goal is to create a simple user experience that allows parents to have access to a doctor whenever they need and whenever they are. Okay, that's cool. Is there a formula or trick to determine margins, rounded corner, or padding? I could get into that. Now I have a course, which on the UI course, I go into all this stuff. It's a little bit of a Fibonacci sequence. Essentially what I do is I go about 1.6 each step up. So, zoom levels. Let's talk zoom levels for a second. Right here, we'll go open this guy up. Here we are. So let's talk zoom levels on this. So the whole page is 1 zoom level. The section, the list of available doctors is a zoom level. The card of Dr. Andrew Barrett is another zoom level right there. And then, the individual information like Dr. Andrew Barrett versus, I think that's pediatrician, like that is another zoom level. And so each level down the pipe or down the zoom, there should be about divided by 1.6-ish, there's a feeling and there's science to it. There's like, what I mean? But that helps you be like kind of Fibonacci sequence. But what it essentially does is it like zooms you in better, and honestly, the layout's pretty good here. So it looks like Camila did a pretty good job on that. One thing I'll say though is here, I would have put a little bit more side margins on these just to like, because when you've got a really rounded corner, and then you've got a set of items that are not wrapped in a container, like it still is wrapped in a container, even though it's not a visible container, right? So you should still treat it with a similar level of margin, right, or padding here. So where study reveals, that's really where this one should have started, right? Not a big deal, just a small one, and it looks like she's got the room here too. So, but yeah, it's not something that I would be like, I'm not hiring her because of that. But it would, it's one of those things that just show like, there's something to be said about like building those reps up to the point where you have those reps in mind. Yeah. Okay. UI Sonics. Hey, if you've got your portfolio ready, send it over. In my bio link, I've got some links. There's one right here, and there's one right here. Basically, both take you out to a Airtable form, and you'll get in the queue. I think there's about 20 or so in the queue. But all right, let's continue on. App I'm creating is an online doctor appointment booking app focused on the families. That's a like basically this first sentence is this, right? This one feels more concise than this one. So I would even say cut this guy, move this first sentence into this paragraph format or this header format. That way it's just like more easier to read because there's less content, right? Okay. This app will help parents contact their doctors and access multiple facilities. What might be cool is all of these stuff turn into a bullet point list, right? Help, like this app is to help parents contact doctors, access multiple facilities, create effective and faster experience, right? Like, it's just one of those things that like this case study is a design in itself, right? I'm judging your design chops not only on your content, not only on the designs, but not only like your process that you're going about making those designs, but then also I'm judging the way that you're presenting your information through all of that stuff as well. So just wanted to call that out really quick, that if you can be really intentional about like the end user's experience, which is me, the hiring manager, then you're going to crush it. Let me pull back up Michael's really quick. I think that he balanced that in a really great way to be able to say like it feels like he tried to curate it for me, right? I'm not saying that you didn't do that, Camila. I'm just saying like going that little extra step and looking at every section and saying, how can I make this easier to understand when they're scrolling? Try to do that. That's all I'm saying. Client Rexburg Clinic. So far, this has felt like a fake project, which is not a bad thing. But who's Rexburg? It almost feels like you're trying to fake it now, or deceive now, which I guess it's not a big deal. But I guess I'll just say maybe cut those last two, right? If Rexburg was not actually a client, I'd say remove the client label, or just remove Rexburg altogether. Because so far Rexburg, it doesn't help me or hurt me beyond, hey, are they trying to misconstrue what they're doing? Okay, going through the design process or the design system, design thinking process. Fine, ideate. Okay, yeah. These are really zoomed out. It's a little too zoomed out. If you're gonna give me the juice, give me the juice. Let me see it, right? Let me look at this juice and judge it for what it is. And yeah, overall it looks okay, but I had to open that in a whole new image, and it's still it's really fuzzy now. I can't even read this. So I would just say would be great to get this as a bigger image, or maybe broken up of a few images that I can scroll around to. That'd be really nice. Okay. All right. Interviews and research. Questions for patients. This section is duplicated. Is that a responsive issue? Maybe. No. Wait, is it duplicated? No. I don't know. I can't really tell what this section is. There's way too many bullet points on these, though. We've got 2 minutes. There's way too many bullet points on that. This is probably a responsive issue, so no biggie. Most parents find making a doctor's appointment. Yeah, I think these are nice. Maybe cut these in half. You don't need all that. You can probably just have 5 or 6 cards at most. Yeah. Okay, let me rewind. Blah, blah, blah. So this I would consider the hero. I would say overall probably a 7 out of 10, maybe 6 out of 10, just because I still don't feel a problem. You know what I mean? I'm not feeling that problem, which incites the design that we need to do, right? If your process is defining and ideating and prototyping, well then, what's defined so far? I haven't got that beyond, allowing patients to have more access, but it would be great to see this is the problem, people aren't getting enough care, blah blah blah, you know what I mean? Really lay it out. Don't angle or don't hedge that side. Provide the best care for experts, family health, and find a doctor anytime where you are. So yeah, I mean, you kind of did that, but I'm not feeling that too much yet on that strategy yet. So I would say 6 out of 10 for all of this so far. And then this knocks a point off because the design's there. That's nice, right? Plus a point, but then minus 2 points because I can't even really see it. You know what I mean? It's it's too zoomed out. So 5 out of 10 so far on the top. Sorry, and it's close. It's really close to being to getting up a few points. But yeah, I like this section. I think I don't need to see the questions. Maybe it's nice to see, but again, I talked about this the other day. And for me, having a plan when you go into an interview is nice. Oh, time's up. Shit. Okay. Having a plan when you go into a UX interview is nice, but it's hard to say you stuck to this script. I don't want you to stick to that script when you get into it. Each of these should be a thing that gets the user talking, right? It's like a jumping off point, right? It's not a okay, cool. What's your name? Okay, how do you buy the medicine you need? Okay, do you ever find that's not how your interview is going to go. It's going to be nuanced and you're going to follow with them and stuff like that, right? That's a good UX research thing. And so when I see questions listed like this, it's nice to see, but they're so generic and obvious that it doesn't help me. It only makes me worried that you really chat with somebody and ham it up with them. That makes me a little nervous. So negative there. What I learned, these are nice. I like them visualized in cards like this too. It's cool. So I would say, getting them back up a point. So, all right. Market research around scheduling apps. Love it. Okay. Cool. I think the personas are good. It's enough of a persona. Look, but you didn't even make these clickable so I can see them. This almost makes it where this section, Andrew Barnett and Kennedy Turner, shouldn't even be shown. It's a real bummer. Those. If you're gonna have it, let me see it. Let me read it. And I think that's an issue in general right now that I'm feeling so far. Maybe it's the responsive. Let me check if it's a responsive issue. No, it's not a responsive issue. Okay. Okay. Issue there with that. I feel like you can cut these paragraphs in half because I'm not going to read any of that. There's so much content written. Again, if you really want me to read it, find a way to visualize it better. You know what I mean? Cool. I don't know. I like seeing this. I like seeing it in real life. So cool. I'll give you that's nice. I'd say that's a nice stage. I feel like the shots that you've done here so far are good. They're interesting enough to make it it doesn't read like every other case study I've read, which is nice. It's just a little bit too much text. So find a way to cut that down so that I'll actually read it. Cool. Again, you're giving me the juice. You're giving me the juice in two different layouts responsively, but I can still barely read it. And the design looks pretty good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's so close. I need to be able to see these. I need to be able to read them better. You know what I mean? I like the mock-ups. The layouts are good. I like seeing a desktop and a mobile version. I think onboarding is cool. Well, where is the onboarding? Because that's the juice of having a doctor app in your portfolio. Is the juice comes from, damn, that's a lot of content that they had to input, and regulated information and secure data and all that stuff. It doesn't feel like much of that was thought through. So not a big deal, but the juice that I was hoping for wasn't there for me. Now, what I will say, I'll give it this to you. I would go read a second case study. I think I think, and I would be like hoping for a little bit more detail, a little bit more zoom ins on those. But that's one of those big things is you got to constantly be getting me, the hiring manager, to like keep digging, right? And I think you did just enough, just a hair over. And honestly, a lot of this is good stuff. So just like lower the amount of text and present it in a more visualized way, and then give me a better way to view your final designs, and so that I can make a judgment on the strategy or not. Now, I think the design that you have here, the UI that you got here, is good enough to make me look at you in another way, even without knowing whether the strategy is connected or not. And it's a funny thing because lately I've been talking so much about how important the strategy needs to be felt in the final designs, right? But also too, if you've just got like an eye, if you've got a good design eye, and your stuff just looks good and the spacing's pretty good, it's enough to where like, yeah, I'm gonna give you some looks. I'm gonna give you some more detailed look if I can, because it's good enough, right? And so that's the thing. It's like there's this balance where, if your UI is not good enough, well, your strategy better kill it, and it better be felt in the designs, and vice versa. If your UI is really good, like a banging UI, maybe I could just map the strategy and guide them on the strategy, right? And so there's that pendulum swing, and I think you've done enough to show that the UI is good. But I really wish that it was like. It was a little bit more zoomed in, and I could dissect it a little bit more from my angle. But yeah, I would say overall, I gave Michael I gave him what was it, a 7 out of 10 on his. I think that you're right there, 7.5. I think that Camila. It's hard. Okay, so I reviewed 2 portfolios today. I reviewed Michael's and I reviewed Camila's, and Michael, I think, was the way he did his portfolio was a lot better, and I felt like if he had just a little bit more full app or full project work, I would be ready to make a interview with him, right? And meanwhile, I feel like Camila's portfolio was a little bit better, the full featuredness of it was better, and the portfolio was a little bit worse, as far as like layout and thought into my experience as the hiring manager. So it's funny. Michael wins on the UX for me, as the hiring manager. Camila wins out on like the work itself. But again, Michael, you're really close. I think Camila, you're really close as well. Just find me a little bit more ways to give me more strategy, Camila, and Michael, find me a little bit more detailed projects that we can go through. I think those are the things. So hey, we're vibing today. That was awesome portfolio reviews. I actually did 2 in one day. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it happen, but it actually lit a fire under me to make it where I had to go in and crank through. So yeah, if you have any questions, hit me up. Let's chat for like 10 more minutes. I'm gonna hop off. But hey, if I saw a quick question, bro, if you have any problems with padding and spacing, like I don't feel like my design is looking good, what's the best approach? Huge approach here that I do is, if your designs just don't feel nice enough, like punchy or cool enough, you probably need to do more mood boarding. Basically, mood boarding is a huge thing, because what you're doing is, you're like, as designers, is we're not building Lego blocks ourselves, right? Like every time we go design something, we're not just like making it from scratch, right? We're assembling like UI or Lego bricks together, or like sewing Frankenstein monster together, right? And then our designs is the Frankenstein's monster, right? And so, for me, like when you're going in and like designing a bunch of stuff and it's not feeling right, it's because you didn't do enough work on like the initial functional ambiguity side, right? So, for me, when you're designing, you come up with a strategy on like the UX and like all of that. The beats that the users are going to hit based on that strategy, and then you take those beats and you say, okay, we need to present this information. How should we present it? Should it be a card slider? Should it be like a full screen slider? Should it be a grid, right? And then you go in with that question, and you start like looking for, you know, inspiration on Dribble, on Pinterest, whatever, and then you take those inspirations and you like you know say, oh, I'll use this kind of card in this grid, but I actually like that card style in a you know, a card slider. But then, oh, we need an image, so like I need to go find a way to fit an image in there, and like that's the leftover question that you have going into your designs. But you're gonna have, you know, a lot more scoped out by the time that you get to your design, and you're not winging it, right? You're not winging it. I never wing it from a UI perspective. I'm coming in with all that strategy in mind, and then I go in and I I get inspired, but I'm not just like, you know, finding vibes. I'm finding like you know, layouts that I can visualize what I see in my head. You know what I mean? Hey, Bacruz, if you're still here, you can always get your portfolio reviewed. You can get in the queue, and over my bio link. In my bio link, there is a few buttons to go jump into the queue around my you know, sign up for a portfolio review. What's my live setup like? It's clear and well laid out. Hey, thanks so much, Cole Geek. I actually have I've been streaming from Streamlabs. Let me show you. Look. I've got like a little overlay that blocks off all these little sections. So, hey, were you guys getting distracted by the little time lapses in my layout? I've been getting a lot of hate on it lately, so I might drop it. I don't know though. It feels like one of those things that it's just like a nice like, you know, like some people like to just get distracted purposefully sometimes, you know. So, how can I make this clickable, this portfolio clickable like these? If you're trying to make a clickable portfolio, you know, you got to use a website, right? You know, like Wix Studio, you know, Webflow, whatever. Framer is a big one too now. So, you know, I am definitely. I think that like early stage designers, if you don't know code or whatever, I think a builder like a Wix Studio or Squarespace is really where you want to lean towards, because you can just like kind of like create inside the builder. You know, if you're really good with Figma and designs, then, you know, Framer might be a better choice, because you can like really tighten it up on the Figma file and then jump into it from there. Faisal over here asking about 8 pixel versus 4 pixel rules. Yeah, love that question. And you know, here's the thing. Yeah, like so earlier in the live, I did a live overview. Let me go pull that up really quick. Let me share my screen again. So I did a live tutorial around the mini design system, right? And I created a set of local variables. And in there, I actually set up some paddings, and I did a 4 pixel padding, basically 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 32, etc., whatever. Now, you know, there different people have different ways about going about it. Really, all you need to worry about as a designer is, do you have a pixel grid that you go with, right? You don't need to overthink it too much. And in fact, like I think people, you know, it's kind of like a camera equipment as a person who's making videos, right? Like, yeah, having a fucking like amazing camera, red camera will be awesome, right? But do you need that to get 1 million views? No, you know what I mean? And same here, right? Like, but you do need a thing. You need a thing to stick to. Now, I've been asked in interviews before what pixel grid I use, but they're not asking me. They never were like, when I gave them my answer, they weren't like, oh, we use a 8 pixel, you got to switch. No, it was, do you fucking use one? Like, or are you just winging it, right? And so that's really the question that you need to ask yourself is, am I using an actual rule when I'm going about my spacing, padding, groupings, and all that stuff, right? And for me, I use 4 pixels because and I try to lean towards 8, right? You know, there's you know, there's a lot of reasons for that, but basically 2 pixels I think is a little bit too small. You know, you want to feel the differences in the steps, because when you feel them, you're able to leverage them as a designer, right? As I was talking about those zoom layers earlier, and you know, if you're just winging it and you just throw 1 pixel change, you know, the developer probably won't develop it with that 1 pixel change. They'll have a step system that they're using, and they'll go off of that. And so then your designs are not connected to the development. Now, and then B, the real issue here is that you as a designer are not making designs that are have a reason for it, right? Like when you have 2 different font sizes, they need to be 2 or 3 pixels at least different from each other, or else it'll feel like so similar that it's like you're not able to train the user by using it, right? But when you have a thing at 16 pixels and then at 12 pixels, you're able to, a user is able to like 100% know that anytime I see a 16 pixel thing, I'll be, that's probably a header or an introduction to a new section. And those are the things that we are able to leverage as designers and say, hey, I'm going to be strategic about when I use this amount versus this amount. So all that to say, I use 4 pixels. I try to use 8 pixels sometimes, or as much as I can. But you really don't overthink it. So yeah, no problem by myself. No problem. Ewa. Oh, somebody asked earlier if you're still here on TikTok. Do you have a rule when you use emoji on onboarding UI? Or depends on the category of the app. Yeah, it really depends. A corporate SaaS tool is probably not going to use much emojis, right? But if you're trying to be like an edgy or a friendly thing, you can definitely use emoji at that point, because emoji just kind of softens it, where it's not just this corporate thing that was made in a think tank, right? And it's oh, okay, they're trying to have a brand here or whatever, but also to as it relates to onboarding, when you use emojis on onboarding, I think it's kind of not necessary to even connect it to the onboarding, right? Onboarding should there's basically 2 phases to it, right? There's the first phase is pre-sign up, right? Somebody may have downloaded the app when they saw it on the TikTok or something like that, and then they come back 2 months later and they were like, "What is this app again? Why is it on my thing?" Maybe they downloaded it seeing one feature, but that's like a small part of the product, right? And so you need to start prepping them for those other parts of the product, and you do that through that first stage onboarding, which is that kind of carousel slider or whatever that kind of just breezes over the intro features. So that's one step. Now, and I think it's cool to use emoji, but I usually prefer to use actual UI from inside of the app, because you can already start training them without them actually using it, right? So that's one. And then the second phase of onboarding is post sign up, right? So you enter your email or whatever, your password, and now you have an account. Well, now we got to get you set up and so that you understand how to use this app, right? And even that, get you set up versus knowing how to use it. Those are 2 different things. And depending on how in depth the product is, you might need to break those into a second and a third phase. But generally, though, I typically only throw emoji on the front side, and then maybe I didn't use iconography to be able to explain why you're inputting the information you are. That's where I go. So hopefully you're still here and you heard all that spiel. Is it wrong to put fake projects within the portfolio? I don't think so, Ewa. Honestly, I've read enough because here's the thing. Again, I don't care if you launched a product, right? As a junior designer, right? If you have and it got huge increases and there's actually data to prove that stuff moved the needle, hell yeah, show me that, right? But if you don't have that kind of work, right, you gotta find a way to get work somehow. And so the best way to do that is through, again, showing that you have skills, and then showing that you have a process to achieve work using those skills, right? And that's all that matters, really. Because if it's a fake project, I'll know that it's a fake project. But if I could see that you really thought about this, and you took it all the way to the end, and you realize, oh shit, we got to change all these things, and you went and did those changes, it's gonna be A, felt in the designs, and B, it's gonna be it's gonna show me a window into how you work, and potentially make me feel more confident in giving you work for from my end, right? And so so I think that's a big one. Is feel free to use fake projects if you don't have real projects. Don't be misleading and say, hey, this thing launched and it was on the app stores and it crushed it, I'd say don't do that. Because that's scammy, and all that, right? But yeah, I'll tell you, I tried to hire somebody when all they had was fake projects, and but it was because I could tell they had a really good design eye, they had some really good natural talent, and sorry. Not natural talent. They just had skills that they refined, right? And I could feel that through the way that they presented the information, through the way that like the actual designs looked, and also too, people love to talk about like the design thinking process, but I could feel 100% what the problem was. I could feel that they thought about how that problem translates to the rest of the market. Like, why does this product exist at all? For these reasons. And then they closed the loop by actually like having those features, and they looked great, right? Like that's all you really need to show on a fake case study. You don't need to show that you went and interviewed 3 people who are probably your mom, your best friend, and your girlfriend or boyfriend, that's where it kind of derails for me when I see a fake project that tries to fit that shit in. But they didn't try to do that, right? They did do some, and they but they actually had genuinely interesting insights, and they genuinely connected to the strategy of the how the product fits into it and all that. So again, like you can get a job off of fake projects. It's probably going to be hard because you don't have you don't have enough thought that went into it. But if you did put that thought in, you can definitely get a job off of it. Create a Shopify website. Did it from start to finish. Should I add that to my portfolio? Hey, J Sauce, if you're trying to get jobs in the e-commerce space, I think that's definitely valuable to show that you built a Shopify site. Definitely valuable. If you're trying to apply for product design jobs, it's probably not it's probably not a case study that I would read or care that much about. However, if it is a kind of a technical product, right, that needed some details and needed some sliders and gallery views and like features to be checked and stuff like that, hell yeah, add that because yeah, sorry, I'm coming off of sickness. I'm trying not to cough. Because that shows me like that you did some UX thinking, right? Like that's important. What will a senior UX designer's portfolio look like? What is it meant to have to be a senior? There's a lot that goes into senior level portfolios. The truth is they'll feel a lot like junior portfolios, But here's some things that are different from it. Their shit got shipped, right? And shit got optimized post shipment, right? And that is a lot of what the case study should be about, right? So not shipped in terms of like I finished it, I got a prototype together and I tested it on some people. It's I worked with a developer, handed it off, they built it. It had these issues. We found it through these means, and then I used persona jujitsu and stakeholder management and all that to get buy-in from the team, and then we built the new version, and then that version had a X% increase off of what was happening before. That's really the difference, right? And the work starts speaking for itself the more work you do and the longer you do it. And also too, I'll say, product team work is a lot different than agency level work, right? When you might have 5 years of product design experience at an agency, and you might not be able to land a product team job. Why? Because what I was just saying is continual optimization, right? That is what product teams do, right? They are 1% better every week, right? That's the goal, right? It's not to launch a new product or revolutionize the product that you have every day, every week, and every month. Like that's agency level work where it's like, hey, we got to go back to the drawing board and get a whole new version. And that's cool, right? There's value there. You can get a job at a product team through that kind of work. But product teams are looking for somebody who has like really sat and like and like really learned the product. They became like the most knowledgeable person on the team while they were working there because they did all of these designs and stuff like that. And they were an integral part because they worked with all these people in the team. All of that stuff happens in a product team just naturally, being there longer and longer and longer. And so that's really where the juice is, and that's where you start getting senior level work. Is like you just like you have to do all those things. You have to like constantly iterate. Is the thing. What are my thoughts on the intersection between UX, CX, and BX? I never heard that one, BX. Thank you so much, Doug Johnson, for putting that parentheses there of business experience. Yeah, that was really helpful. Okay. CX, what is CX? Is that content experience? I don't know. There's so many fucking like subsects of UX nowadays. And the truth is talking about BX or business experience, everything that customer experience. Well, then that's UX then, right? Okay, let me let me slow things down here for a second. Now, look, I might be a little like old school or like I'm a startup designer only here, but look, this is a perfect question. Actually, I'm about to go off here. Okay, not in a bad way. I'm just saying, okay, so we are not artists, right? We are designers, right? And so we are getting paid to design things for a business, right? If the designs we're making are not functional or improve the business in some way, then we're out of a job because the business is going under, right? Or there's layoffs because we didn't hit our marks, right? And so all that to say, business is all of this other stuff. Business experience is all this stuff. You constantly have to have the context of why marketing wants this and why sales wants this, why the CEO wants this, right? Like all of those are different initiatives and might be banging up against each other. And so you need to understand why and like the players at stake in all of that world, and so that you can be an effective designer, right? And then now let's talk about customer experience versus UX or user experience, right? Now, user experience is the customer experience, right? Because ultimately, again, going back to the BX, right? All of the designs we're doing needs to attribute to a customer, needs to attribute to money moving from that customer. And, sad as it is, like, I don't get to just design stuff like for the thrill of it. Ultimately it needs to move the needle in the business. And therefore the user experience needs to move the needle for the business. And really, that's why also it's so hard to crack into this industry is you've got to design the thing, like the thing that is being sold is on you to design it well, right? And there's no way to get it right the first time. There's no way to get it right the 1,000th time. There is no finish line. There is no, this is good, let's move on. This is good enough, let's move on. That's what it is. And so, I think that like really, like that should be the context that you're going into all the designs that you're doing is that, the customer experience is the business experience, the business experience matters. Like that's the only thing that matters, but ultimately we are trying to make our designs better, our user experience the best that it can be, so that they convert for a certain reason. Now, it's definitely on them, the business people or whatever, to say this is where we're going and this is why, and then, like, as long as that is, like, a thing that's, like, worth it and good, then it's up to us to, like, crush that user experience to make it work. Apart from 8-point spacing, what other methods are there? 4 pixels and 2 pixel is another one. I go by 4 pixel globtopus because, I think, in my opinion, 8 pixels is not granular enough, especially on the mobile space. You can definitely get by with just 8 pixels on the spacing, but I typically go by a 4 pixel because there's just sometimes where 16 pixels is better than 12 or vice versa. Or sorry, no, 12 pixels is better than 16. There you go. Because 16 would be divided by 8. So there you go. I also like 20 pixels a lot too versus 24 and all that stuff. So there's just certain times where you just like need to be a little bit tighter. And so what I try to do is I try to angle on 8 pixel and then cut it to 4 whenever it feels needed. That's the other side too, is the user experience. Like the reason we're here is to know when to break the rules, right? So generally we go by an 8 pixel grid, but for whatever reason, this just like felt like this gave much more impact on this header if we bumped it to 12 pixels instead of 8, right? But then 16 was too much. It felt disconnected, so we had to put it at 12, right? Like that's where it's on us as a designer to say the rules are broken. We're changing it because of these reasons. So yeah. My first job is for startup. Can that impact badly for my career because of no specialization? No. So here's the thing, Marina. I've only ever worked at startups. I've never worked in a corporate environment. The largest team I've ever worked at was a 20-person team, and a lot of them were salespeople. And so, maybe I just got bumped down a peg in your opinion of me. But here's the thing. We're all doing the same stuff, right? Now, for me, though, it was a decision that I made that I didn't want to work in a corporate environment because I wanted to be able to like have a real say, like a real like hands on the wheel kind of thing. And when I joined my last startup, like we designed this huge new product that was like where the company was pivoting to. I designed that like 4 days in. And it was shipped like 2 weeks later, right? Now, because I didn't know enough context, I did a bad job on that, right? And it's on them for like giving me that project right away. But slowly I understood, and within like a few weeks we redesigned it again. But also that's like what's so fun about startups is that it's like your hair's on fire at all times. There's a million fires to put out that you have to put out before your hair gets dumped on, and so that's what's fun about it, though. I'll also say too, like, I don't think it's a negative thing to work at a startup versus a corporate environment. Now you'll probably have less design system experience. You'll probably also have less you might be looked down upon a little bit more than if you like worked at Meta or something like that, right? But I think like don't fault yourself for working at a startup because you're gonna get so much more work, and you'll learn so much at startups, and yeah, it's just much more fun. I don't know. I can't say more fun because I never worked at a corporate environment. But like we got into this to build shit. At least me, right? I got into this because I wanted to go design something and see users use it, right? But with the corporate environment, there's so many layers that you might like work on this like back settings shit. And it takes like months to just get to the point where you can like do that, and all that time you're like working within all these constraints that are detrimental to the design decisions that you're making because it's just how it is, right? And I think because of that, all that stuff to say that be excited about startups. All right. Thoughts on UX design and UX and design being separate. Just landed my first UX job as a UX architect at an agency. My work stops at color, font, etc. I think it's quite old school. That's interesting. Yeah, I think like like I was just saying, when there's a bigger team, there's more layers, right? Which is a good thing. It allows you to be a specialist in that stuff, right? And yeah, I think too, like, as far as designing just like colors and like, color, font, etc. Like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of interesting that you're like really zoomed out that way. I haven't seen that in the agencies I've worked at, but yeah, I mean, everybody's different. And I think that's what's like, what's fun about it is you're able to still have that like bird's eye view, and you're probably able to work on more projects than you would if not. So I think that's okay. It might just not be the fit that you want though, right? You might want to take it from start to end. And so, yeah, maybe, consider that, like, keep cranking, getting more experience, but then like, yeah, consider other jobs if you're not liking that. XYXZAGZE. Yo, ZigZagZ. Thanks so much for following me. Really appreciate you for doing that. Hey, how you doing? I'm working on a design startup with my friend, but sometimes it feels like I'm carrying more weight. Oh, that's a tough one. It's one of those things too. Like, it's like what do you call it? The like the group projects, right? When you are working as a group project, there's always somebody who's gonna be pulling more, right? And so, yeah, there was times and startups that I worked at where, I had more, like it's shit on me and my back. But try to talk about that as soon as you can. Try to really lay out the expectations that you have with your partners. Because that sort of shit really blows up. It really blows up in a startup. And like early stage stuff, and it's only going to get worse. Even if they start stepping up, you're going to start hoping for them to do more. At a certain, and unless those expectations are set up front, right? And the truth is too is everybody's got their own life, and you can't make them do more, or you can't make them want it more. So that you just have to consider, like, is that the right person? I don't know. But all that to say, there's also, times where, hey, pass me the rock. I'm going to run with it for a while. And like, once I'm ready, to a certain point, you can step up and take it from there. Or not take it from there, but just like, really start running with me or whatever. Yo, Ray, thanks so much for following me. Ray Creates, appreciate you. What takes 2 weeks in a startup to ship might take 6 months to a year to ship in corporate. Hell yeah, Ray Creates, exactly. Now, I'll also say too that within 6 months of working at that startup that I just recently quit, but I was there for a little over a year. Within 6 months, I was on a patent that they were doing because I had that much impact on the startup. And not only was that designed, a lot of that was already built, right? And so that's the kind of impact that you can have at a startup versus corporate. Yeah, here's the thing too, is like corporate environment it has those checks for a reason, right? There are millions of users that are using the things that you're designing. And so like you kind of have to be like really checks and balanced in that way. Yeah, that's the other thing. I'll leave it there. Big tech is more about proving to multiple stakeholders why the design will improve certain metrics. Yeah. And you know what's crazy though too? Again, I love startups, and I will probably never work at a corporate environment. I don't know, maybe I will. I hope to be doing this for the rest of my life. So I hope to never be working at a startup or a corporate environment in general. But yeah, I think that what's really interesting about it is like Google, when they're designing stuff, they're talking about like a 1 pixel difference can lead to X amount of changes, right? Like, why are we adding 1 pixel to this? Where's the data on that? Like, that's honestly another, like, that's an interesting thing to learn as a designer that I've never learned because I've never worked with such a huge data set, right? And yeah, so like all that, that might be interesting to you, and you might want to go do that and understand that comes with some stuff. No, I do like startups, Pineapple. I love startups. I don't like corporate environments, but what I was going to say was that corporate environments have their pros. Some might even say more cushy environments. Yeah. I'm trying to get a job on design. I'm doing right now my portfolio. Any advice? When I say design, I mean UI UX. Cool. All right. So Jose David, here's my steps on getting a design job. I'm gonna assume that you're at 0 right now, or like roughly 0. Here's the roadmap that I would take: is take my 70 rad design challenge. In that, it's a free challenge. And basically, you're able to get a email every morning that gives you 2 design tasks a day. And you do that for 70 days. And I think by the end of that 70 days, you're going to know, exactly what you don't know, right? That's the most important thing. Is there's this valley of despair, right? Like, as you learn anything, you go up and you're like, holy shit, I'm a fucking genius. And then you're like, wait, oh my God, there's all this other stuff I need to know, right? And so. And I need to like understand it at a deep core level, and that's where you dip in. And so if you go in thinking that you're a genius and you're just going to consistently go upwards and to the right, it's going to be difficult for you mentally to get through the hurdles, right? Once you're there, before you get there, though, you need to know Figma enough, or XD or whatever enough. I think you should learn Figma, but you need to know Figma enough to be able to like actually go design stuff every day, right? Because you are going to be designing 2 things every day, right? And so, not when I say every day, I mean 7 days a week. And so, like, there's ways for it to slow down, and it doesn't like continue like keep up to or queue up too much for you. At most, it's gonna be 10 days out. And you can catch back up, right? But anyways, so I'd say learn Figma enough to where you can go design some stuff. Take my 70rad.com or my bio link. Yeah. Go take that challenge. That challenge will get you to know what you don't know. And one of the big things that you will not know, most likely, is how to have a good design process and good UI strategy. Because everybody loves to talk about UX strategy, and it's very important. It's very important. I'm not trying to discount that, but what I'm trying to say, though, is you can't learn UX on your own. You can only learn UX through the war stories and battle scars, through shipping stuff, seeing how bad it is, through testing, and then refining it. And then, that just takes time, and it's hard to get that kind of work. And so you can, though, get a job off of having really good UI skills. And so, all that to say, that's why I made my UI course. So I've got basically, I'm just talking about the resources that I have, but I made those resources in that order for that reason, right? Learn Figma. I've got a Figma course. Second step, do 70 Rad. 70 Rad is a free design challenge. Once you do that, you know how hard you need to work and how much you need to learn. One of the big things is UI design. Take my UI design course. So, honestly, that's what I'm so excited about. Is only until like 2 months ago is when I launched that UI course, and I really feel like I've closed the loop to where you can take those resources and at that point you will know like roughly like and you'll have the understanding to be able to build on those skills. And so then at that point, maybe, go take 70 Rad again once you've done the UI course. And because any sites to practice UI skills, 100%, go to my 70rad.com. I'll just pull up my screen. Here we go. I'm gonna flip you all over. Go to Sky. Okay. So this is what 70 Rad looks like. Here, I'm gonna shrink it way down. This is 70 Rad. And you can get to my bio link. Yo, Isaac, thanks so much for sharing the live. Appreciate you. But basically, in here you can randomize it. So every 10 days, you get a new 10-day project is what you're going to do. And basically, you're going to have to design a gamified camping trip planner app. But you can switch gamified to AI powered or minimal. You could switch that to fitness tracker or AI powered fitness tracker app, easy to use fitness tracker app, right? Like these are these little the idea and the modifier really affects what you're going to do as a designer, right? And so basically like the emails every day will give you advice and guides on how to approach today's challenge, because basically, the first day you should be working on the user flows. The second day you should be working on the mood board. The third day you should be working on, the wireframes. The third, fourth, and fifth day. Sixth, seventh, and eighth day you work on UI and all that. So you get it. So basically, you do that for 10 days, and also while you're doing that, you're going to do a recreation of a UI shot. So most of the stuff is from Dribbble. And basically, we'll just go in. Let's find something. So it'll be like this. In the morning, you'll get an email and it's going to say something like this. And it's going to say, hey, redesign this. Or sorry, not redesign it. Copy it, right? Have this right next to you. Here, I'll show you. Do this inside of Figma. Come in here, paste it. And then go fucking redesign it right here, right? Redesign the mountain run, redesign all that, right? And I try to make them easier than this for the most part, but basically that's what you do every day. Every day you do one of those, and then you also work on your 10-day project and get guidance on how to better achieve your 10-day projects. And so that's what 70 Rad is. And basically I think by the end of it you're gonna know so much more, right? ADHD energy, love it. It also team me up to design. Hell yeah. Yo, go get it, chicken drumsticks. Go get it. And hey, Joey, thanks so much for saying the links are in my bio. Really appreciate it. Do you think I should build my own design system or should I use free ones? It depends on what team you're working on. But if you're not working on a team, I don't think it's worth working inside of a design system outside of like Material UI or something like that. Yeah, if you're just like kind of building projects one off, and you're working with like one developer one to one, you probably don't. You're not in the spot where you need a design system yet. Definitely try to use as much components as you can. But there's a certain thing about like limiting yourself in a design system that you'll be constantly having to update your design system just to make your UI the way it is. And so you really got to save it till you're ready. Chicken Drumstick sending me some lightning. Yo, much love to you. In startup, there's not a single person knowing what or how to do it. Yo, Marina, you just nailed it. In a startup, there is not a single person knowing what to do or how to do it. So here's the thing. Okay, this is one thing that I had to learn. It feels that way. It feels that way 100%. That in a startup, there's not a single person that knowing what to do or how to do it. But here's the brutal truth that you need to kind of get in your head and accept is that everybody is right? And nobody is right. Everybody wants it as bad as you, and nobody wants it as bad as you. It's constantly that, right? It's constantly those two things, those juxtapositions bouncing off each other. And the truth is their context and their view of the world is very important. It's very important because it's going to affect you and why you're doing the things you're doing. And they are probably right in some aspects, right? And so yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get in that mindset because sometimes you're just like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? Like we just redesigned this 2 weeks ago, and now we're going back to drawing board. And so that's really where like senior level gets involved is why are we doing this again? Right? Is like being able for everybody to know that answer, right? And it's sometimes on you to do that, right? Hopefully it's on your product manager to do that. But if you're not feeling like that's understood, you need to be able to slow it down and say what's happening, why. And so yeah, cool. Yo, Explore HD, give me a follow at Idame Media. Thanks so much for following me as well. Yo, thanks so much. Getting a lot of followers over on TikTok today. Appreciate you guys. Sorry, I'm not giving too much love over on Instagram side. How to solve problems like a pro? That's awesome question. Jiggy over on Instagram. Honestly, here's the thing. It's there's no. I guess here's the thing. If you want to solve problems like a pro, understand that there is no one size fits all solution, right? And I think that I made a video about this a few days ago around everybody, when I'm reading a lot of early stage designers' portfolios and their case studies, it's the same shit. It's the same cadence. It's, proto personas. It's, user interviews. It's, hopefully there's market research. But it's like going through the same script every time. And the truth is that's fine to go through that, right? Yeah, prototype. There you go. Prototype's another one. And then, the truth is these are tools that you leverage in your strategy, right? Sometimes it's good to use proto personas. It's a really good point when you feel like your team is constantly shifting their focus, right? Talking about startups and how, sales has a new big lead and we're changing our whole product for it. That's a point where you need to, as a designer, you need to say, who are we designing for and why, right? You need to get buy-in on that, and you need to have everybody agree to those terms. And then every design decision that you make from then on is for that person. And as long as you're doing that, then you are solving problems for the company and the business and the users all in one. And it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of slowing people down for that, though. Yeah. Hey there, Black Legend. Sorry. Sometimes TikTok names just get me. Hey, Nolan, could I send you my portfolio link? Yes. Head over to my bio link. I'll switch you over to a screen share. Oh, gosh. Oh, no. Yeah, there we go. All right, so heading over to my bio link, there's a portfolio review button here and a portfolio review button here. Basically, you'll get into a queue, yeah, I've got about last I checked, it was like 15 people, 20 people ish over there wanting a review. So yeah, you'll get on the list. I'm now doing 2 a day. Hey. Facing a problem with Figma when creating a prototype for the page. What's the problem? Do you review UX of mobile apps? Charles, I could do that. Yeah, if you want to send me that in the portfolio review section of my bio, I'll just send me a link to a Figma project or something like that. I'll pull that up and I'll definitely review it. Not as a portfolio, but as a prototype of an app design. Honestly, I think that would be really valuable. So if any of you guys want to share just a straight up project link and share your designs, if you'd rather me do that than look at your portfolio, definitely do that. Because honestly, a lot of the stuff that I talk about every day on these portfolio reviews is specifically hitting me as a hiring manager, but then too like how I'm reading your portfolio. But then too, sometimes I'd love to talk about, hey, you designed this improperly because of these things. So yeah, feel free to share Figma links in that queue as well. Yeah. All right. Yep, design and dump so many times. Oh, love it. How would you measure UX improvement if the ships are taking too long in corporate environments? Oh, yeah. That's a tough one. Chucky. And that's like kind of the difficulty and like why we have a job though, right? Is being able to like pull all of those things together and say, this is a problem, right? Do we agree that this is a problem? And then from there, it's on you to come up with solutions. Hey, these are some solutions that I think will solve that problem that we talked about 2 weeks ago. Or which ones do you guys like best? Which ones do you agree with and disagree with? And then from there, you take that into the actual design. That's where you actually get into design. That's product team kind of flow in the startup. But yeah, the difficulty is when to measure UX improvements is really hard because new things are getting shipped all the time. New initiatives are always happening that work against some of those old initiatives. And so, yeah, a lot of it is on the upfront work of this. Are these the problems that we actually have? Do we all agree that these are problems? And do all of those, problems have solutions through these solutions? Do you agree with these solutions? Yes, no, maybe. And then we move on. So I think that's the real thing is like determining the measurement of the UX improvement beforehand. And I will tell you, my product manager was really hardcore about that on my last team, and the rest of the team didn't like it so much. The rest of the team felt a little. Sometimes if outside looking in, I didn't actually hear any shit talking or anything. But from the outside looking in, it felt like sometimes it was like, oh, why are we slowing things down right now? And so it's hard. It really is hard to determine what are we measuring. And how are we going to measure it? But you constantly got to be pushing for this is important, guys, because of these things, right? Yeah. So there you go. I have no Figma for my app. It's only the store. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, just send me the link on there then. I'll try to figure out how I can stream that to my view. I think I could put that in as a source though. I'll try figuring that out for you, Charles. Yeah. All right. What's your advice for software engineering expanding into UX UI designer? So sorry, Maddie, are you a software engineer and you're getting into design, or you're just saying the role of software engineer absorbing design? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. What are the top 3 things you want to hear when recruiting? Oh, that's cool. Okay. I actually have a list as a perfect. I've already got the list there. So here's the 3 things that I'm looking for when I'm recruiting for somebody. Or B. 1, not B. 1. I need to see that you have skills, right? I need to see what your UI chops are like, right? Now, if it's pure UX, that's a different thing, but I'm usually hiring for product designers, so I can really only talk to that. And product designers are like UI UX, right? Like take the whole way. So, as a product designer, I'm looking for somebody who has UI skills, and I can read that through. Hey, do they have a systematic process for like, hey, all the spacing is pretty similar. The system has like zoom levels to it, and there's some Fibonacci vibes to it on spacing. Color, is it accessible? Is it like actually like good looking? It's like one of those like. That's hard to say, right? Because it's definitely biased for sure. But does it feel like it has a process to it? And that kind of takes me to step 2 is, do you have a process, right? Because you have skills, but can you replicate those skills if I throw it at you? Are you going to take 20 hours to get this one screen designed? Or can I trust you to crank on it without me checking in with you all the time? Like at what points of your process can I check in with you? What points do I need a handle for you? And just know that that's going to be happening, right? And it's okay, right? As a junior designer, you're probably not going to take everything on, right? But you're also like when I see somebody who has killer UI design skills, I'm like, I'm really excited about them. And then I'm like, I could even handle the UX strategy, and I can just like kind of coach them up and start mentoring them on the UX strategy, or vice versa. If I feel that they're like really killer on the UX, I'm like, well, shit, I'm probably gonna have to be spending a lot of time on the pixels at the end for them. Is that okay? Like, and if they can rise me up and my process up in the UX side, then that might be worth it. But it also depends on the time that I'm hiring, right? I might be hiring at a spot where you're like I'm ready for more of a UX mind, or I just need a person who's going to crank out UI, right? Like, so all that has differences, and so that's why it's good to show both as much as you can, because it'll help attribute to both, and it'll also make me feel confident where it's like, hey, right now I'm going to be pushing pixels, but maybe eventually we'll be doing more prototyping and user testing and all that stuff. So like, let's have them do that, or they can expand to that, and so. Yeah, so that's it. I need to know that you have skills. I need to see that you have a process of some sort. And then third is make you memorable somehow, right? I always talk about this like idea of like a thesis as a designer is, this is my thesis as a designer is I am a designer who thinks like a business owner. And that's because I've launched startups myself. I've marketed those startups to over 100,000 users, and I've only worked in early stage startups where I'm redesigning products from the ground up, right? Like, so I understand how business affects the design process. Like, that's my whole bit, right? And I love design because of that, because there's a business aspect to it. And so you have a different bit, right? Maybe your bit is not as defined as mine. And, I didn't go into this industry saying, I'm going to go be a business designer or a startup designer. I just gravitated to startups because I liked it. And so, but even though you're at like an early stage part of your career, you still have something interesting about you. Maybe you're funny. Maybe you're really good at copy. Maybe you're, I don't know, maybe I was going to say maybe you have some dogs that you like or something, but that might be a little bit too chug. I don't need to know facts about your life, but somehow making it where I can recall it, right? When I'm talking to my higher ups and say, hey, I want to hire this person. They're really funny, or they worked at this startup, or they have a background in this. They used to be a graphic designers or whatever, stuff like that. It just, you have a story, let that shine throughout as well. So there you go. What happened to Australian unicorns? Borcata, I'll answer that if you're still here. Let me know if you're still here, is what I'm trying to say. Just at my portfolio link through, you have a specific time that I usually hop on. Yeah, so I've been really off and on. I've been wanting to be more regulated. I've been wanting to do hour longs, and I'm literally about to cross 2 hours in 50 seconds. It's going to be 2 hours this stream. So, it's a mess. I'm trying to formulate this more in a show format where I jump on, I do a few segments, and I jump off, and then I might even start doing more live streams throughout the day, right? Where I do one portfolio review stream and another live design stream or something like that. But for now, I'm currently going live basically every Monday through Friday around 1 to 2. So around there is when I start the live, and I've been trying to stick it to an hour. I still have yet to be at an hour. I think the lowest amount was like an hour and 20 minutes, and that's because I had to go somewhere. Yeah. All right, so Maddie, sorry for the long-winded loop back to get to you. Yeah, you're a software engineer, you're about to graduate. Okay, well, hey, so if you're a software engineer, you're about to graduate, and you want to get more into UI UX, I think like there's a few things that you can angle on. I think from my perspective, so I know development. I'm a front end developer as well. I've never worked professionally as it, but I have built some of my own products through it. I've also worked with a lot of developers through my startup, experiences and all that stuff. And I will say there is front end developers. There is a huge skill gap, not skill gap. Sorry, skill. Variance on the front end when it comes to UI, right? Yeah, you can work in Tailwind or like inside of a system really, really solidly, but like, can you make this look pixel perfect to the designs? Do you make it function well? Can you come back to me as a designer and say, bro, like you really messed up here, or this doesn't pattern the same way as this other feature that we have, right? Like those are skills that from my perspective, that I've not found in many front-end developers. And most teams have at least one, though. That's the thing. But most teams have even startups have 6+ developers, right? Anyways, I think that I think that's the value of leaning into UI UX as a developer, because engineers you can definitely have some opinions about designs. And you can bring those up at product meetings and stuff like that. But you're never gonna get a job because you're good at UI UX. And you will never actually spend any time designing anything, right? And in fact, you need to stop and say, hey, designer, you didn't design this thing for me. Go design it. Because every second that you're thinking about the design, you're not thinking about the code that you're writing and all that stuff. And so especially developers and engineering team, they are maxed out all the time on product teams. And so in my opinion, I think that's where it's valuable for a software engineer to understand UI UX, is to be able to really replicate shit perfectly. So yeah. Hey Charles, I didn't give you the thanks. Thanks so much for following me. Appreciate you. Look forward to reviewing your app soon. What's the expected salary range for a product designer who's intermediate? It's shit's always changing. Right now, from what I've seen, there's a bit of a downturn in the salaries of entry level. But yeah, I was trying to hire a junior last year. Didn't work out because they got an offer for $100,000, over 100,000, and then we just couldn't match it. And then next, but then other people will work for other juniors I've seen getting around 80 to 90 only. Yeah, I know, absolutely insane, right? He was really good, and yeah, we couldn't afford that at all. But yeah, the other place could, so that's cool. Then there's I think when you're getting into senior level, the range is last I checked was about 120 to 150. But then if you're in Web3 world or super super invested startups, you're looking at, you could get up to 200 as a senior, but that's probably the cap is 200, 220. At senior level is 5 years and above, but from what I've seen, most seniors are only getting hired 7 to 8 years of experience. I didn't get a senior level until I was 10 years of experience, but also too, I wasn't trying to go for senior level spots because I was working on my own and doing freelance and stuff. So yeah. Netflix posted for $250 for seniors. Yeah, but here's the thing though. Somebody like Netflix, they're probably going to hire somebody who's staff level of quality and skills. But they're just calling them seniors because they've got such good talent, right? But yeah, so it's the varying levels of investment and value of a company. Startups will probably pay you less than corporate environments, but corporate environments will be a lot more competitive because more people are going to be applying, right? Because everybody knows Meta, but nobody knows this random startup that you just applied to. Yeah, you're about 2 years in. You think I could aim for 100K? It's tough to say. It's really a skill based. It's really a need based on the company. And yeah, if you're really good and you find a company that really needs good talent, you could probably find 100. I would say though, take what you can get, I guess. Like not that I'm like trying to be woe is me or anything, but what is it? The bird in the hand's worth two in the bush or whatever. Go for as much as you can, but yeah, you're getting 67. Yeah, I mean, if you're already at a job and you got 67 at a design job, like definitely, you could probably leverage that into at least 80 to 90 at any place that's trying to hire you. But yeah, getting up over 100, you might be able to get that too, kind of thing, if you got the skills and the experience. All right. I've been talking for 2 hours. My voice is about to go away. So, hey, I'm out, y'all. Have a great day. I'll be back on tomorrow by 1:30 to 2. Yeah, hope you have an awesome day, everybody. Much love. Yeah, bye, guys.